Hey everybody, Chuck G Violin back with you with episode the 4th of our tutorial series on how to build a golf course from scratch in PGA Tour 2K25. In this episode, we're going to work on sculpting our green, our fairway, and our tees. And then we're going to have a hole that is 100% playable with 4 hole locations and flattened tee boxes. And the only thing missing is going to be some of the detail work like planting and the surface weathering and things like that. That'll be another episode. Let's review real quick. We have started up our plot here, and we have laid out 18 holes that are all going in different directions with a good mix of par 3, 4, and 5s. We've put down a little bit of indication where we're going to put water eventually. Then we drew our first fairway green bunkers and tees. And then we sculpted said bunkers, not the tees and fairway and everything yet, but we went through the bunker settings and how to make realistic looking bunkers. These aren't the best bunkers I've ever made, let's be honest, but I wanted to get you to learn the tools on how to make your own. If I were really going to work on this golf course and make it, to where something where I could publish it, we would be working on these bunkers a lot more because I don't love the way this looks. I mean, it's very, penal. Penal. It's a word that I like to use. Sounds kind of funny, kind of like Uranus. Anyway, let's get started on what we're going to do today, and that is going to be working on this green primarily. As you can see, this is not a green that has a lot of available space for hole locations. Maybe back here, maybe over here, but there's a lot of red slope on here, a lot of yellow slope, and that's not somewhere where you can put holes because the ball won't stay there. What I have done, and I encourage you to do before you do anything else, is go to your course settings. Again, that's the tab where you're going to choose things like textures, green speeds, etc., and where your bunker settings are. Go to green settings, turn the green speed to maximum. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why is because ultimately you're trying to create a green that is both severe but fair. And the best way to do that without too much effort is to design a green that's pretty much fair on the highest green speed. And then when you publish your course, you'll go back here, turn the green speed down to something a little bit more normal. And as you can see, that already fixed this green pretty good. But I like to design with the maximum green speed because then that way you don't want to publish your golf course with a max green speed like that, because then when you choose a green speed in the game, it's always going to be really super over fast. So I'll talk about those settings another time. That's kind of going to be in our finishing and polishing video. But let's get started with making this green something we can use. So we've already done our bunkers, and as I said before, do the bunkers first, because if you don't, your green will be affected by the work you do on the bunkers. Now, unfortunately, when I flattened this green out a little bit, I undid a little bit of the stuff we did with our bunkers, and I'm going to fix that right now. I want this land to be a little higher in between the bunker and the green. So let's quickly do that. Okay, so a couple of different ways to make a green. And I like to go with the kind of, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs type of thing. This green is crazy severe, and I'm going to make it a little bit more so. So we're going to go here. I like this to be a little higher over here because I want that bunker to be really something that is going to be in play. I don't like this fall off the back and the side over here. So we're going to raise that a bit. I also don't like this. So let's kind of raise this a little bit. And we're going to talk about things like false fronts and other green type accoutrement that we will be working with.
6.5 hours later.
So now we've got a completely unusable green, right? Except for back here. And we're going to ruin that right now. La 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 la. I'm going to tell you some kind of rules here. These rules are not hard and fast. Every green must be this way. But number one is that the vast majority of greens in the world slope from the back to the front. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, it makes it easier for players to stop a ball on the green. So it's going to stop and it's not going to roll out beyond the green. And that's really nice. The other thing, though, is a difficulty thing. That means if you hit it and you're back here, now you have to putt down the hill and you could putt it off the green. All right, our green's not going to be quite that severe. We're not going to do something like winged foot where you've got greens that, you're lucky if the ball stays up here and doesn't roll all the way off the front, or like the 9th at Augusta or something like that. So now that we've done that, I'm saving even more than usual because I lost about an hour's worth of work last night because I forgot to save and then the game crashed. Anyway, so let's get out our flatten brush now, and we're going to carefully kind of just flatten this out. This is the fuzzy brush, so it's not going to just flatten our green. We don't really want to do that, but we want to go around here and just mellow this out a little bit. And I'm just spam clicking it at not really a lot of elevation.
A few moments later.
Okay, so now we've got something, still got a lot of red in there, still got a lot of yellow in there, but at least now we have an idea of where we can put some pins. Let's do another round of this flattening real quick so that I can eliminate some of the kind of mounding I don't want on this green. Like I don't want that stuck in the middle. Okay, much better. So generally, in terms of setting hole locations, you have 4 pins to choose from. I'm going to tell you what not to do, and that's not to put the number 1 pin in the center of the green every single time. Don't make the number 1 pin the easiest pin on every green. Likewise, don't tuck the number 4 pin back here by this bunker every single time. All right, what I like to do is I like to rotate the pins so that let's go in groups of 4 holes, right? So on number 1, the number 1 pin is the easiest. On number 2, the number 2 pin is the easiest. On number 3, the number 3 pin, and number 4, the number 4 pin. Okay, you got to put some of the the 4th round pins. You want to reserve those for kind of signature positions. So like this would be a great spot for the number 4 pin, but you can't do it on every hole. So every now and then on a golf hole, maybe on the hardest hole on the golf course, you put the number 3 pin over here and the number 4 is right in the middle. Give the guys a little break, right? On the hardest hole on the golf course. Or do it the opposite way. On the hardest hole in the golf course, put the number 4 pin in the nastiest spot. Okay, but at least vary it. Right? Again, there's rules, but there's not really rules for that sort of thing. So let's put this number 1 hole location right about here. Okay, we don't have it tucked anywhere. We're equidistant from most areas of the green. Let's put the rest by putting the number 2 hole location again in an area that is pretty benign, but we're going to put it up here. We'll put that right here. So this bunker's kind of in play. The front runoff of the green, which we will create in a minute, that'll also be in play. But otherwise, it's not too bad. We're going to put the number 3 hole location over here. Okay, not tucked all the way to the edge, but this bunker is now in play. And I like this bunker turned out to be something pretty cool when I did some extra work on it just now. That's a hellish place to be. And then number 4 pin, we're going to put exactly where I said, and that's going to be back in the back to where this is now in play. So take a look. I don't like all these hole locations because you've only got one up front. You've got kind of 2 in the middle and 1 sort of in the back. So we're going to move the number 1 hole location back here, or even maybe back here. Okay, so the number 1 hole location is toward the back of the green. Not a big deal. All right, we are playing a video game. Most guys can hit the ball to the back of the green, but it's not tucked anywhere real close. All right, let's do a quick save before we talk about hole locations and fairness. Now, I'm talking a little bit from TGC Tours perspective to where there are hard and fast rules for fairness. Now, those rules may change a little bit now that the new game is out, but generally, your hole position, your hole location, your pin position, whatever you want to call it, should be no less than 2 full squares away from the edge. So, like, I could put that here. I've got 1, I got 1, 2, and then the pin is right here. That is really close. All right. You don't want to go any closer to the edge than that. And since this is a difficult hole location, I'm going to put it a little further away. All right. So like over here, we are, 1, 2, it's not too far here. It's not too far there. I'm giving the players a chance to hit it over this bunker and still stop it somewhere near the hole. Okay. And the other thing you want to do is you don't want these holes to be within 2 squares of a red or orange slope. Yellow, you might be able to get away with. So this is a little close, and we're going to work on that. This is, no-go right here as is, but now we're going to work on this green. This is also no-go as is. This one is close. You're kind of right here. So those are the things you want to keep in mind when setting your pins, okay? Here's another thing you don't want to do when setting your pins, and when I see this on a golf course, I get really mad. You don't want to have your holes be on something like this. Okay, I mean, yeah, you've got 2 squares on all sides before the ridiculous slope, but come on. All right, that's just unfair to the max. Okay, just like we talked about a couple 3 episodes ago, every shot on the hole should have a challenge and a bailout area. Okay, so your approach shot, has challenge and has a place where you can bail out, or even over here. All right. The slope is a little bit aggressive. We're going to fix that. So likewise on the green, the challenge here for this pin is that it's close to this. So you should be able to bail out over here or into the middle of the green and not have the ball bounce all over the place or roll off the green. All right. Let's make this as difficult as we can, but at the same time, make it fair. So let's start working on this green. Landscaping tools, I'm going to use the raise tool. And because I don't like to use flatten. What flatten gives you, I'm going to show you exactly what flatten gives you. So let's say we want to make sure this the area around the hole is mostly flat. Boom. I've done that. But now it's just like sitting there on that stupid looking plateau. And, I'm going to have to do more work around here anyway. That's how I used to design greens. I used to make a crazy friggin' green with all kinds of mounds all over the place. And then I used to just flatten. And those were my hole locations. I've grown as a person and as a designer. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the raise tool more, fuzzy brush, and we're going to raise this only 1 inch and just kind of mitigate this slope a little bit to where we want it. Now there's still a little yellow here, and I want this. This is a little severe here, and ta-da. I've done that. There's still a crazy slope back here, but I don't mind it. All right, this is fair. This doesn't, careen off in all directions with red slope. I'm going to fix this because that's a little severe for what I want. And again, depending on the type of golf course you want to design, having a slope like that and a runoff like that, maybe you want that. I do not for this one. So let's work on this a little more. Okay, so that's a little bit better, a little more fair. Okay, we're going to fix this area here because this is a little too much. Okay, so that whole location, which is number 3, I believe, is now, oops, got more yellow in it because I did something. Ugh, still got some yellow. And this is a process that could take an hour.
3 weeks later.
So that's okay. This, not so much. Let's see if we can do this with just a little bit of the raise and lower tool. And yes, very good. All right, it's a little, again, we've kind of got this little kind of plateau, and that's not bad. What that does is it forces golfers to carry the ball all the way up here to get it all the way back. I don't like this spot of yellow right here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And I'm going to just do one real quick across here. Now, if you're doing this and you find you've either designed yourself into a corner or, you know, just kind of, you know, you've got something you just don't like, then by all means, go to landscaping tools, go to flatten, take maybe this brush, just flatten the whole damn thing and start again. All right, you can absolutely do that. You know, getting a green just right is probably the most labor-intensive part of the designing process. Okay, it just takes freaking forever. But it's absolutely worth it to have a green that is both severe. See, look, you've got red here. You've got some red over here. We're going to put a little bit of extra, you know, goodness over here that is going to look very cool once we hit the weathering brush. And we're going to put a big old mound back here. All right. It's not really a punch bowl green, but, you know, we do have the back to front. And now we hit save. That looks pretty good. Okay, next. I normally, when I work on a golf course, once the hole is laid out and I've put down my bunkers, my green, my fairway, my tees, I usually work backwards from green to tee. However, a lot of times I'll quickly do the tees first. And I don't mean that to say they're not important. I just mean that they're a little easier to do because it's a simple matter of flattening. All right, so what we want to do here is we're going to flatten up a little bit. And then over here a little bit, just the general area around the tees. That looks pretty good. I want to kind of come down through here, though. Very good, very good. Sight lines, remember, sight lines. And now, at its most rudimentary, you could now just go to flatten, pick a brush that mostly is the same as your tee box shape, put it up 5 inches or so, and you're done. Ta-da! You got 2 tees, and they're perfectly flat. But that's at its most rudimentary. What you might want to do is add some, you know, a little bit of extra mounding around here just to make it interesting. One of the things I like about a lot of courses, like in the UK, a lot of link style courses, is they kind of exist within the terrain, the flattened tee boxes. So that's a lot more interesting. You can't really see it from the tee, but you can see it from other places on the golf course. You know, let's do the kind of the same thing over here real quick. Remember, I mean, you want to put some little mounds and stuff, but you also don't want to obscure the tee shot. So, oops, nope. And something. I'm going to put this down just a little bit so it's kind of within those mounds. And that's pretty cool looking. So you want your tee boxes to be interesting, but at their basest level, they have to be flat. even though, yes, I am aware that in the real world, tee boxes are not 100% flat. I get it. Okay. So, yes, flatten your tee boxes, but do a little more than just throwing the flattening brush on there and, farting out a flat tee box. Okie dokie. Fairway. So now we're going to work backwards from the green. We've already done our bunkers, so we don't have to worry about that. This, obviously, that don't look so good. Okay. You can have crazy elevations on your course. It's your course. You do what you want. It's your world, right? But I would prefer to meld this into the rest of my fairway and make this a much, much more gradual slope. So we're going to do that with a combination of flatten and raise. I'm raising now. Raise a lot of this. And then we will flatten. You see, I've kind of made steps here. I don't love that, and that's, this is a gradual process. This is not, a one-click does all solution. If you want to make a gradual slope, you will do something like this. Fuzziest brush. Okay, now if I just flatten this like that, that's going to give us kind of that plateau here and then straight up to the green. We don't want that. All right, so I'm going to have to raise it a little. All right, and then we're going to work backwards, one click at a time, down the slope. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. So now we'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to do a little faster. Just work down the slope, clicking and moving the fuzzy flatten brush. And now we're a lot more gradual over here. This mound kind of sticks out. Now, I didn't even raise that one, so now we're a little bit more severe over there, but this is a lot more fair because guys are going to hit it up here, and it's not going to just bounce short of the green and fall away, okay? That's a little bit of laziness on the designer's part because that just means he raised and flattened the green, and that's all there is. So, okay, so that's kind of that thing. You want to choose landing areas in your fairway where the ball is most likely to land. I have already deleted the measuring tools, but from here, you're down 30, so 315, 320 is going to be kind of your landing area. And here, let's say you hit a 3-wood. So again, you're down 25 to over here, but you're going to hit that about this far. Okay, so these are your landing areas. So what you don't want in your landing area is this. Okay, because a ball's going to hit on either side of that and just fly off of the fairway. That's just really not fair. So there is already some pretty decent existing elevation here that I kind of like. So I pretty much actually like the way this hole is sculpted in terms of the fairway. If you hit something over here, you're kind of, this curve is raised, kind of like at the Daytona 500. You're over here, and the curves are raised so that a ball hit into this area will stay in the fairway. A ball hit into this area will stay in the fairway. So when it comes to fairways, same thing as tees, right? So it's pretty easy to just kind of take this fuzzy flattening brush and just all over your entire fairway. Okay, and that'll make it nice and smooth, and that actually looks okay. It might be a little boring, so you've got to put some changes of elevation here. Let's undo that. Undo that one too. Okay, so this fairway looks pretty good. Green is a little high for my taste, and I'm going to show you something you can do real quick here. It's a little bit up in the air for my personal tastes. This is what to do if you really didn't want this to play quite so uphill. All right. And when we talked about in our last episode about the raise and lower brushes, these ones, remember, everything in the center will retain its elevation work, but this whole land is going to be put down 6 feet. All of this stays the same, but now look, it's so much better. It's not straight up in the air like that. This is much less severe. This bunker, I may play with that bunker if I were, actually doing this. And this hole is so much better for it. To review real quick, when you make your greens, you need to, and this kind of goes for fairways and tees, you need to make it as severe as you can, but keep it fair, right? So no yellow or red slopes within 2 squares of your hole location, but there should be red and yellow everywhere else. Like, I still would be working on this green, putting more severe stuff around it. As for the fairway, no hogs back fairways unless you intend, and that should only be on 1 hole on your golf course. Maybe 2 you could get away with. All right, so let's not have every hole have a big giant-ass mound in the middle, okay? Sculpt your fairways to give the players a chance. Fairways shouldn't be like Donald Ross greens, and they fall off in every direction. They should definitely fall off in some areas, though, like over here, if the player decides to get too aggressive. Or if the player hits a bad shot, a bad shot should not be rescued by, a sloping fairway or mound or something. We're not playing pinball here. We're not, playing chutes and ladders. We just want to shoot this through the center of the fairway, and, the ball's going to Chambers Bay its way all the way down here, okay? So last but not least, tee boxes should be 100% flat, okay, even though they might not be in real life. But they should also be interesting. You shouldn't just plop the brush down and flatten everything and say, I've got tee boxes now. All right. Our next video is going to be, we're going to not get to planting yet. We're going to get to some finer points of terrain painting and surface weathering to really make this hole look cool. And we're going to have to change the theme to do it. Spoiler alert. I'll talk about that in the next video, but I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helps you. It's a lot more high-energy video than the last one. I apologize. That last one was recorded early in the morning, and I'm kind of like, yes, this is how you do a bunker. But if you did get some value out of this, please go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. My channel is blowing up with subscribers. It may not look like it, as I still have 100, 200, but before I made my first one of these, I had 40 subscribers on this YouTube channel because I barely used it. But now that I am using it, it's starting to blow up, and I love it. So let's see if we can't get that subscriber count up closer to 1,000. I sure would love that. Follow me on Twitch as well. I stream at least 3 days a week, and I'm streaming design work. I'm streaming like career mode in the game. I'll be streaming TGC Tours rounds. And other tomfoolery. I also stream City Skylines, which is a fantastic game. A lot like this Course Designer, you get to kind of make what you want. So I hope you all had fun here. I hope you learned something, and we will catch you in episode 5 shortly. Take it easy.